back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If you are new, please don't forget to subscribe. Just have to hit the little button down there and I will show up in your subscription feed so you don't miss any videos. So yeah, that would be really good if you wanted to subscribe. So for today's video I'm going to do my 12 and 13 week update. So it's been 2 weeks since I last did a pregnancy update and I am officially 14 weeks today, and I thought I would check in with you guys and let you know kind of what's been going on the past couple of weeks. They've been a bit extreme, like one extreme to the other, to be honest. I've got my private scan tomorrow and I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling really, I know like stuck record, but I'm feeling really anxious about it. I will go into kind of what has been happening the past couple of weeks to explain why. So if you watched my 11-week pregnancy update, you will know that I had my 12-week scan and everything was looking fine, everything was looking okay, except they had to do an internal scan. So I was worried I would get some bleeding, which I did straight away, as you will know if you've watched that video. Normally when I get bleeding after an internal scan, it only lasts for a day maybe, normally no longer than about 24 hours. But this bleeding lasted a good 3 or 4 days, and also I experienced, I think it was on the Tuesday, the worst cramps I've experienced my whole pregnancy. Looking back now, the cramps and the bleeding I don't think were related, but it really freaked me out. I was very convinced that something was wrong because the cramps were so extreme. I didn't see what could possibly be going on in there to warrant such extreme cramps. As you guys know, I've had cramps pretty much every single day since before I even found out I was pregnant, so cramps for me seem fairly normal, but they were really something else. They really worried me. So I rang the early pregnancy unit again and said I'd called upon Thursday after my scan. I'd been experiencing some bleeding, but I said that hasn't calmed down and I'm also experiencing really bad cramps. So they got me in for an emergency scan, which I was really grateful for. The woman I spoke to on the phone was so lovely. So I went in for the scan. Andrew was at work so he couldn't go with me, and my mum went with me. Everything was fine, so that was the biggest relief. They could see the baby, we could see it stretching and kicking away, and we could see the little heartbeat. The quality of the image was still really poor because of my tilted uterus. That I was wondering whether maybe if the baby was okay at that scan, whether possibly the cramps had been so extreme because it was my uterus tilting back forwards, but looking at that scan it wasn't at all, because she said it's still tilted, and the pitch was just terrible, you could barely see anything. So that's a little bit frustrating, but as long as the baby's healthy, obviously all I'm bothered about. So I had that scan, went home, and things were fine for the rest of the week, to be honest. I felt okay, the bleeding stopped, and I was feeling pretty alright. This week has been a different story in the sense that I have felt absolutely fine, but fine to the point where it scared me. As you know, I haven't had that many symptoms as it was. For me, my cramps were my major symptom, and it wasn't really a standard symptom that everyone gets, but I had cramps every day, and as my scans were seeming to be okay, for me those cramps were sort of the reassurance that the baby was growing and that something was happening in there. But since Monday this week I have had no cramps at all, which is freaking me out. Like, I can't win. I sound ridiculous. I moaned when I was getting cramps because I was scared it meant something was wrong, and now they've stopped. I'm even more scared that something's wrong because it's making me think, well, they said the cramps were my uterus stretching and were growing pains because the baby was growing, and now I'm like, is the baby not growing anymore? I don't know. I think this is just going to be how pregnancy is for me. In one sense I do feel so lucky that in terms of morning sickness I've had none. I've literally had none. I've felt fine in that sense. I haven't been particularly off any foods. The only craving I've had is strawberries, which there's definitely worse things you can crave than some lovely juicy strawberries. But yeah, I've really been struggling this week that the one real symptom I did have has all but gone. So I'm nervous for my scan tomorrow. I'm very nervous for kind of what it's going to show. I want, obviously, more than anything, for this baby to still be growing, but there is that massive fear there of what if something's gone wrong and my body just hasn't shown that yet. That's a big fear. People say, you know, when you get past the 12-week scan, you'll calm down a lot and a lot of the anxiety will go, but it just isn't. And I've got this horrendous habit, and I know it's a really bad habit, I've got this horrendous habit for Googling things, which I know you shouldn't do anyway, but I don't know why I do it to myself. I'll have a scan, like I had my 12-week scan, and then I'll go home and I'll Google miscarriage after 12-week scan, and I just do it all the time. Like this morning, hit 14 weeks, first thing I did was Google miscarriage at 14 weeks. Like, I'm obsessed with the thought that it's going to happen to me again, and I've never got this far before, so it's completely different to when I've miscarried at previous times. So the chances of it being related are very slim. If it does happen, it's just one of them shitty things, and it probably wouldn't be related to my previous miscarriages. But I'm just finding it so difficult to imagine that this could ever actually happen, and that I'd be lucky enough to actually get this baby. It's a big fear of mine. I know that's really depressing, and I really want these pregnancy updates to become more positive, and I feel like I need to reiterate all the time, I'm so grateful to be in this position. I really am, like, so grateful. And the moments that I get when I'm not panicking and I am enjoying it, you know, for like the hour after my scan when I'm feeling pretty confident that the baby's alive in there, I love pregnancy and I think it is the most amazing experience in the world. But the fear I have all the time just constantly outweighs it, and it's really sad. On to a slightly less depressing subject. I'll talk about the symptoms I still have had this week. There's been a few, but I don't know if they're specifically pregnancy related. For the past 3 days I've had a really bad headache, and it just won't shift. I have taken some paracetamol, it doesn't seem to be budging it. It's just this really dull headache that's just been there all the time. And I know, especially in the second trimester, hormones doing whatever they're doing and it can cause headaches, so I'm hoping it is a pregnancy related headache, in which case completely embracing it and couldn't care less about having headaches. Saying that, I'm in the second trimester. That's really, really, really exciting. The app I use actually said I was in the second trimester from last week, which is 13 weeks, but I've seen some other apps and things that count from 14 weeks, so whichever way you look at it, I am, as of today, definitely in the second trimester, which is a milestone I never, ever, ever thought I would get to. So that's a really nice feeling. I feel like I'm not so much, obviously it's still very early days and anything can happen, but I feel like being able to say I'm in the second trimester doesn't feel quite so like early pregnancy. That's not even a word, early pregnancy, but I don't feel quite so like I'm in the early stages of pregnancy. I feel like things are progressing, and everyone says the second trimester's the nice one, so I'm hoping that if everything's fine at this scan tomorrow, I can start to enjoy it more. And yeah, because apart from the headache, I feel good, like my energy's good, still no sickness, bloating's gone down a lot. I wasn't sure if I was starting to get a bump or if I was getting bloating, and in the morning I can still see a little bit of something there, so I think I am getting a tiny little bump, but at the same time I think a lot of it was bloating. This is really embarrassing, but when I went to my scan last week, she was like, "Oh, I'm struggling to see because you've got your tilted uterus, but also you've got a lot of excess bowel gas." I was like, oh my god, and then she printed it out and put it on a sheet. And it was like, excess bowel gas, blocking view of baby. And I was like, oh my God, how embarrassing. So I think I was really bloated, and as of this week, I do feel a lot less bloated. Again, that worries me. Should I feel a lot less bloated? I know people say, oh, you hit the second trimester and your symptoms like disperse a lot. So I am praying it's just that. But you just don't know, do you? Anything can happen. That's just it. I think I'll never feel safe. When I get to a point, like at the moment, all I'm thinking is like, I just want to get to 24 weeks and be viable. But then I think when I get past that, I'll be thinking, am I going to have a stillborn baby? Like, so much can go wrong at so many stages, and I think I'm just constantly going to worry, and I'm just going to have to accept that and get what enjoyment I can out of this pregnancy when I can, because I am loving it. It sounds ridiculous. I love being pregnant. I feel so special. I feel really special knowing that there's a little baby growing inside me. That makes me feel like the most special person in the world. But at the same time, I just feel no one can be this lucky. It's going to be ripped away from me. Like, can this really be my time? I hope it is, but I don't know. Sorry. Oh, you must be like, just want to shake me because these videos must be so depressing, but I just want them to be really honest. And I think a lot of people that have been through infertility or miscarriage or both kind of think, you've wanted this for so long, you can't moan about it or have any kind of negative feelings towards it. And I don't have any negative feelings towards being pregnant at all. And if I was feeling sick, that would be fine. For me, it's just the fear. That's all it is. It's just the fear. It's just wanting something so desperately that you think you can't possibly ever actually have it. So a couple of other things. Tomorrow, if the scan goes okay, me and Andrew are going to, we've discussed it, and we're going to announce our pregnancy on Instagram and on Facebook. That is something I've always wanted to do, and I've been very wary about it for two reasons. One being the whole not wanting to jinx things, and if you tell people you're pregnant and then something goes wrong, you have to tell people then that you're not pregnant. And with you guys, that's fine, because I feel like people that watch my videos have maybe been through something similar, or you're pregnant and understand the fear in general of miscarriage or anything going wrong. But when you're announcing it to people, you know, on Facebook or whatever, who can be in completely different situations, it just feels scarier. I don't know why. So there's been that, but there's also been the fact that obviously when you've been through infertility or miscarriage, seeing a pregnancy announcement can be really, really difficult to deal with. I found people's pregnancy announcements really difficult. But we've thought long and hard about it. We've gone to and kind of fro between whether we're going to do it, and we've decided that if tomorrow's scan is okay, we will do it, because this is our baby, and if something goes wrong, and I don't want to focus on the negative, but if something went wrong, I want people to know that that baby existed for however long it gets to be here. And also it's that moment you've always wanted. Like, I've looked at other people's pregnancy announcements, and I hate jealousy, but I was just so jealous that that wasn't me and that I couldn't do that. So if the scan is okay tomorrow, we are going to do that. So if you don't follow me on Instagram already and you want to see if we get to do that pregnancy announcement, I will put my Instagram handle on the screen, but it is just @BeccaCott. Yeah, and hopefully, all being well, we will do that. I've got kind of the props I want to take a photo for the announcement, and I've also written out quite a rambly essay, because for me it's really important that I address my previous pregnancies and infertility. So if someone in a similar position sees my pregnancy announcement, hopefully they don't find it so difficult, because they understand that that's a pregnancy that has been worked really bloody hard for. Other thing I wanted to ask is, again, depending on if the scan's okay tomorrow, I am thinking of doing a unisex baby clothing haul because as you all know, if you watched my TTC tag, which I think I filmed either just before Christmas or just after Christmas, I will link it in the description box if you've not watched it. I bought a lot of baby clothes before this all kind of came about. When we first started trying and we'd hoped it was going to be pretty straightforward, I started buying quite a lot of baby clothes, some unisex, some not unisex, and also I have also bought a few bits since finding out I was pregnant this time. So I'd love to do a unisex baby clothing haul for you all. I've got quite a lot to show. My question is, would you prefer one massive haul that would be quite a big long one, or do you want me to split it up into smaller hauls? I know people like different. I personally love a long video, but I know some people just prefer quick ones that they can just watch while they've got 5-10 minutes, whatever. So yeah, let me know what you would like me to do there, and hopefully, all being well tomorrow, we can announce our pregnancy and I can film a long awaited baby clothing haul, so we can look at lots of cute things. So yeah, that's it really for this update, guys. Basically, all riding on tomorrow. If all is well, we will be officially announcing the pregnancy, which is very, very scary. But at the same time, just really hope we get to do it because we've waited years and years to be able to do that. So I will leave you now. I will do you a quick bump shot. I'll be interested to see if there's a difference between 2 weeks ago because a lot of the bloating's gone down. I'm not sure. I can't decide if it's going to look any different. I'm not sure if it's changed at all. Let me know what you think, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys. So this is the bump at 14 weeks today. I'll be really interested to hear if you think you can see a difference from week 12 to week 14, because I definitely feel less bloated. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to look bigger or smaller. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you all in my next video.